As Australia watched its team triumph at the Cricket World Cup, cricket tragics were taking notice of another team making waves on the world stage.
I think it's one of the great achievements of modern cricket. I think it's one thing that the modern game can be most proud of.
The love of the game of cricket is astounding me over there.
Afghanistan, a nation perhaps more well known for its tragic war-torn history, was suddenly making news for its achievements on the cricket pitch.
Bowled in! And it is over, and Afghanistan have the greatest victory in their history.
They beat Pakistan, they beat Sri Lanka, they beat the reigning world champions, England. I mean, they're enormous results.
Cricket is one of Afghanistan's most popular sports.
It's played in the parks everywhere we looked in the morning, guys in suits and we're out there bowling. You know, it wouldn't be unusual to have 300 or 400 people at training.
But when Peter Anderson took over as coach of the nation's academy, the results on a national stage had been underwhelming. Anderson now lives in the Cayman Islands and said his 4 years in Afghanistan improving the national team had its challenges.
They had me with about 3 securities, and you imagine a little Toyota Corona, and they're all pretty big guys, and I'd be in the bodyguard seat, and they'd get in the AK-47s, and they'd always end up sticking me in the back. Accidentally, you know, guys, please get those guns out of my back. It was a war zone.
And life as a selector in Afghanistan could be complicated.
I'll tell a classic story. He was Taliban, and he was pretty upset getting dropped from the A team, and he sent a letter to everyone, and I got one too, saying, you know, I'm going to jihad the building. You know, you've done this and done that. And they took it seriously. They called him in and they actually gave him a 3-month ban. But he actually wrote me a message, actually, I like you, you're right, you'll be fine, just don't be around the cricket board at the time.
Anderson's focus was developing talented young cricketers in the country, many of whom are now stars in the team, and it wasn't without a few hiccups.
And I'll never forget, I had an under-16 trial, and there's some funny stories there. I'm sitting there, and I remember Reece, who was on the World Cup recently, and said to me, no, Peter, come over here. Okay, take your helmet off. The guy take his helmet, he's got a full-grown beard. He was 36 years of age.
I think the most heartwarming thing about it, the most encouraging thing about this talent is that it's homegrown. I mean, traditionally, Afghanistan cricket developed as an expat sport among the communities that were down in Pakistan. This is the first generation of homegrown Afghanistan male cricketers that we're seeing coming through.
One of those players is Mujibur Rahman, who plays his T20 domestic cricket in Australia with the Melbourne Renegades.
We can see like so many things learning from them in the nets, in the fielding, what they did, what we routine, like good time sleep, water routine, everything.
Mujib was brought up in Host and is considered one of the best limited overs bowlers in the world.
I was 12 years old when I started the cricket, so it's a good and a good achievement still playing around the world. It's very good and top challenge.
He and his team went into this year's World Cup confident that they would challenge the best teams.
We won 4 games in the World Cup, so we nearly beat more teams as well. So yeah, it's really good.
Before the World Cup, Afghanistan suffered a massive earthquake, killing almost 1,500 people.
England fall apart because they're a bit tired. You know, Australia might fall apart for a few injuries. Afghanistan just seemed to get on with it.
Cricket writer Peter Lawler says while Afghanistan's men's team should be lauded for their achievements, it's a travesty the Taliban regime has banned women's cricket in the country.
Cricket should hang its head in shame for the way that the women in the Afghanistan cricket team have been treated.
The International Cricket Council provides funding to member nations' men's and women's teams, but Afghanistan continues to receive the money while refusing to develop female players.
The ICC funds cricket teams with the understanding that they will develop women's and men's teams. The ICC give Afghanistan full funding in the full knowledge that they do not have a women's team.
They've got some very good women cricketers there. I had them. I had to train them with no lights. I was threatened to be blown up. I was pulled in. And and said no more women's cricket.
Many of Afghanistan's women's cricketers fled to Australia once the Taliban took control of Afghanistan in 2021, including Nahida Saban, who, as well as formally being a member of the national team, was the country's first female cricket coach. She now plays her cricket with several of her former teammates at Carnegie in Melbourne's southeastern suburbs.
The Taliban government, the women is not allowed for the cricket, for sport, not only cricket, for all of sport, for all of like university, schools.
The Afghanistan women say they are happy for the success of the men's team, but frustrated that there is no certainty around their cricketing future.
I know this is not very easy for us, but we don't have any choice for this.
Men's cricket in Afghanistan has improved in leaps and bounds, but it has a long way to go until it can be considered a world cricketing force.
This is my big aim. This is my big aim to play for Afghanistan cricket team.
Step by step will be better cricket in Afghanistan.